What's going on, guys, and welcome to another Doctor Who Classic Review. Today I'm going to be reviewing the third Doctor Jon Pertwee story, The Green Death. This story is pretty special for me because it's really, I'd say, one of my earliest memories of Doctor Who. I watched a little bit of classic Doctor Who before the new series started with my uncle. He was a massive Doctor Who, he still is a massive Doctor Who fan, but especially at the time he was a massive classic Doctor Who fan, and he showed me a few episodes. I have vivid memories of a few, but The Green Death's the one that I have the most memories of. I can literally put myself back to a time probably like 15 years ago, maybe even more, when I was sitting at his house on the couch and just watching The Green Death. So this story is pretty nostalgic for me. But anyway, this is The Green Death by Robert Sloman. When a man is found dead with his skin glowing green in an abandoned mine, it's not long before the Doctor, Jo Grant and unit head to Wales to investigate. And while the Doctor becomes suspicious of the nearby Global Chemicals factory and its mysterious owner, Jo gets trapped underground where she finds old mine tunnels crawling with deadly and sinister giant maggots. So yeah, this is the story with the giant maggots, and my love for this story, I think it's regarded as a very good story anyway, I think. But I have a hell of a lot of nostalgia for this story, so maybe some people might think that I may be saying it's a bit too good. So spoilers, I do really like this episode. But I think it is still guaranteed it's a classic and one of Jon Pertwee's best. But anyway, let's get straight into it with the cast. Alright, so we'll start off with Jon Pertwee. He's the third Doctor. He's amazing. He is absolutely amazing in this. I love him in every single part of this episode. He's funny, he's serious, he's just great. This story as a whole, it has its serious moments, definitely, especially towards the end, and its emotional moments as well, really, really emotional moments. But it also has a lot of funny moments, a lot of comedic moments, which, to be honest, I haven't seen all of the Jon Pertwee run. I've actually seen about half of his stories now, but from what I can tell, his run, especially comparing it to Tom Baker's run, and I suppose a little bit of Patrick Troughton's run from what I've seen, the third Doctor's run wasn't quite as comedic and funny with the stories and that. This episode, though, it really is. There's some really funny moments, which we will get onto in a second, but when we're talking about some other things. But yeah, Jon Pertwee as a whole, no matter whether he's doing the funny stuff or the serious stuff, he's just really good. Katie Manning is Jo Grant, of course. Spoilers, by the way, there's always spoilers in these videos. This is Katie Manning's final story, or Jo Grant's final story, and it's probably the best character exit, at least of the classic series, from what I've seen. It's just such a good exit. She ends up marrying, what is his name? Clifford Jones, the scientist, or the professor. Yeah, she ends up marrying him, but unlike, when Leela exits the show, when she marries or just gets with that guy in Invasion of Time, which is just completely random, in this one, you can tell throughout the whole six-parter that there's something going on there. You can tell that there's a connection, and it works. So when she does leave, it's emotional, but it feels right, and I really like that. And altogether, Katie Manning is very, very good. Also, Nicholas Courtney is the Brigadier Lethbridge Stewart. He's really good as well. At this point, we're kind of fading a little, units fading out a little bit at this point. Towards the end of Jon Pertwee's run, they start fading unit out a little bit, but yeah, still really, really good stuff from him. And then pretty much all the guest cast in this are all very, very good as well. Alright, let's get on to the good and the bad, starting off with the good. The Doctor going to Metabolus 3. I thought that was great. At the start of the episode, the Doctor's trying to do some stuff with his TARDIS, because obviously he's now allowed to travel back in time again, a few stories back, I believe, in at the end of the Three Doctors, going into Carnival of Monsters, the Time Lords gave him the ability to travel in time again with his TARDIS, so he's messing around with the TARDIS, and he's like, let's go to Metabolus 3, but Jo finds out about, all this stuff with the pollution and global chemicals, and also, the whole thing with people dying with the green skin and that, and she wants to figure out what's going on, but the Doctor, he just wants to go to Metabolus 3. He's been stuck on Earth for so long that he really wants to get out of there, which I don't blame him, makes sense. And I just love him trying to get her to go there, but she doesn't, but he ends up going on his own, and I just love in part one, We get a few little scenes of the Doctor in Metabilosauri, and he has a horrible time. He's getting bloody attacked by weird squid tentacle creature things. He's getting absolutely beat up, and in the end he decides to come back to Earth and do the right thing, I suppose, and help his friends out. But I just love those scenes in Metabilosauri. I just think it's really fun. The story about pollution is still very relevant today. I really like it when classic Doctor Who stories especially, they deal with themes that at the time were relevant, but with this one, it's actually more relevant today because it's all about pollution. All these companies, polluting the atmosphere, destroying our world, and that was a big thing in the 1970s, I suppose. But how much bigger is it now? I mean, yeah, we're trying to make improvements on it, but we always are. But pollution is worse now than really it ever has been, I would say. I just think it's really interesting to see things like that, especially over, almost 50 years ago since this was out, like 45, I don't know how many ever years. Yeah, really interesting stuff there. Bert is such a lovable character, let me just say that. I think Bert's great, the guy, the miner, who goes down with Joe into the mine. He's such a cool character. We don't even get to see him for that long because, spoilers, he ends up dying. He gets, he touches the gunk for, let me just say, I will be honest, a bit stupid why he just decides to touch the gunk. I mean, he's just seen his friend dead on the floor from the green gunk with green skin, and then he just goes and touches the gunk himself. Like, are you an idiot? But still, I'll put that behind me. Bert as a character, I just love him. He's really, really lovable. I love how he's just, Joe's a bit scared, just wants to get out of there. He's like, don't you worry, lass, don't worry. That was a Welsh accent. That was fantastic, thank you. But yeah, Bert, I just love him. The Doctor fighting the security guards. Of course, the Doctor gets some Venusian Aikido in there, which is always good to see. I do love Jon Pertwee fighting bad guys. In this instance, it's not bad guys, but kind of are the security guards for Global Chemicals. But it's just really cool to see Jon Pertwee doing some awesome fight scenes. Now, here's perhaps a bit of a controversial opinion. The maggots actually don't look bad. Or don't look too bad. To be honest, don't really look bad at all. I think I have heard a few people say that the maggots don't look great, and I don't really understand why. I mean, let's remember this is 1973, and to be honest, I don't think they look bad. I don't think in any way they look bad. For that time, and, for what they are, they actually look pretty decent, I think. I really don't think they look bad at all. They are very effective. I think the mouths on them, how they start, hissing at people, is really creepy. And I really don't think they look bad. They definitely don't put me off the story at all. I have heard a few people say that they don't like them because they don't look great, but honestly, I don't really see that. I mean, if you had that today, maybe, but for 1973, I think that's actually really good stuff. Yates going undercover into Global Chemicals, I think is really cool. We get Sergeant Yates? No, Captain Mike Yates, that's it. He goes undercover into Global Chemicals. I really like that. Some really good stuff there, using more of the unit family instead of just the Brigadier. I mean, Brigadier Yates and Sergeant Benson are kind of the main unit people, but I like how he kind of does something a bit different to what we're used to. So it's nice to see him doing that. The Doctor going undercover as a milkman and a cleaner. Like I said before, Jon Pertwee has some pretty comedic moments in this one. These are those moments. I absolutely love it when the Doctor's there. He's in the milk van and he's got a mustache on, he's got a bloody milk cap. He's got the glasses on, he just looks absolutely ridiculous and amazing. But that's not even the best part, because when he turns into the cleaner, it's just, I still laughed my arse. I didn't laugh my arse off because that's not really the sort of person I am when watching TV and stuff, but I did have a bit of a chuckle to myself when he was, when he was cleaning stuff up, when that security guard or whoever it was said something to him. He was like, "Oh, how you doing? Keep going with it, Norris," or something. And he was just like, oh yes. And then when bloody Yates flipping comes up to him and he's like, "Oh, how's your? It's a nice handbag you have there." And he's like, "Watch your mouth. I'll or I'll slosh you with it or something, and smacks him with the bucket. I just think it's just really funny stuff, and I think Jon Pertwee needed more of that in his era. He's a really funny guy. I mean, if you've ever seen Wurzel Gummidge, which is a great show, by the way, that stars Jon Pertwee. He's just so good at that sort of thing. So, yep, that's awesome as well. Stevens gets his mind back and sacrifices himself to destroy Boss, Boss being the villain. By the way, I think Boss works really good as a villain. He's basically just a voice, but it's such a menacing voice, and the way he kind of sings along and hums along as well now and again, it kind of makes him even more creepy and sadistic in a way, which I really, really like in a villain. Yeah, I think when Stevens gets his mind back, it's really, really cool. I think he does a great performance with all that. And then finally, Joe's departure is very, very emotional. Really, really sad stuff for Joe, but I think that was such a good way to round off her character. Like I said before, her getting married to Jones, Professor Jones, I do think, I mean, we don't 100% know how much time's passed. It doesn't feel like it's that long. So because of that, it does feel like it's pretty quick. Like, they've just known each other maybe a week tops, and now they're getting married. But just the chemistry that they've had through this whole story, it works for me, and I think it's a very, very good and emotional departure for Joe. So really, there isn't really anything bad I have to say about this. I mean, it's kind of my usual nitpick, which is that it can be a bit slow at points, but, you know, the highlights for this story really boost up those slow moments. You know, it can be slow now and again, but you know you're about to get another one of those cracking moments. And I just love even them, the Doctor and Joe and Bert and all that, just going through the caves, going through the mine, just the feel and the look of it. It's so claustrophobic, but it's so different, and the lighting, the green lighting and stuff as well. I just think it all looks so good. It's just a really fun feeling story. So, The Green Death, what am I going to give it? Well, if it wasn't already obvious already, I'm giving it a 10 out of 10. It is, at the moment, by far my favourite Jon Pertwee story. It's probably going to stay there. This is the third Jon Pertwee story I've given a 10 out of 10. The other two being Spearhead from Space and The Time Warrior. I think this is going to... I mean, I'd be surprised if anything else comes close to this. I think this is going to be my favourite Jon Pertwee. It's honestly probably in my top 3, maybe 4. No, I reckon it's in my top 3 at the moment of classic stories of all time that I've reviewed so far. Up there with The Robots of Death and The Moon Base, and probably Caves of Androzani. So yeah, it's a very good one. A 10 out of 10 for The Green Death for me. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.